Okay, I hope everyone can hear me and see my screen. Is that correct?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your screen share.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Um, as all the other speakers said, thank you for this opportunity and good morning to everybody. I'm very excited to be part of this event. It is an amazing opportunity for me to present some research that I've begun to do in the area of increasing access to health information for our patients with aphasia. It came to me obviously as a function of the pandemic, and I was so concerned about sharing information accurately and how I could draw upon some resources that we've developed in the research and clinical communities. And I will be starting this project very soon. Actually, it is a project that is in progress and is an approved project at my University of Pace, and also my secondary affiliation at NYU Grossman School of Medicine. So the colleague that I have, Alexandria Segas, and I developed a proposal to bring health information in a more transparent way using some pre-existing pictorial representations that I had developed in a program called the CSERS. It's called Communicating Effectively with Individuals with Aphasia. And the background of this, of course, is that so much of the right of access to health information is a continuing patient fight and advocacy that many of us are still concerned about with and are trying to address. So especially right now, since we have not only the current pandemic, other ongoing and continuing and evolving societal issues, I felt that the amount of information and the quality of information needed to be addressed for our families. And especially also with the number of different platforms that we have too. We have the television going, the hard of hearing interpreter, and we have text message, emails, all sorts of social media coming at us. And so this became an increasingly urgent matter, especially for patients who are not engaged in a community group program where they may have access to information from the facilitators and other group members in a way that can be communicative to them. So the beginning of this project really was several years ago when some of my colleagues, Trisha Olea Santos, who's at University of Texas at Austin, and Teresa Abesamis, who's in private practice in New Jersey, developed something called the CSERS. And our presentation was accepted at ASHA, and we developed quite a bit of feedback from this. It was field tested at that time. And so here is an example of what we originally developed to bring out a Likert scale type of presentation. It's similar and actually was developed a few years ago, and you could see from the aphasia quality of life communication scale from ASHA as well. The attempt here was to provide some pictorial cues so that patients might be able to respond on a scale to question types. In our original survey, it was not surrounding medical needs. It was more surrounding communicative effectiveness in daily living activities. So we've begun to work on the scale to communicate to patients regarding activities that are happening right now, such as health visits, health information, and general health literacy. So this is an example of one of the scales that we're working on and have started to field test. Um, our concern for this information is in communicating it effectively, having baselines and being able to pilot it effectively, and also the acts of receiving information and providing information, and what does the anxiety level in that environment already do to language competence. So we have two prongs that I'm interested in. One is the stress level, and the other is the communicative effectiveness and how those two interact. Therefore, there's a component of this study which is going to be about resilience factors and the anxiety level associated with urgent health communication. So some current, more current issues are what I'm going to be adding to the project, and which we've already, as I said, begun to pilot, is some scales regarding anxiety levels and communication anxiety and correlations between the two. Here is some more information about the materials that we're developing, and I have hope and faith that we're going to be able to present this to the community at large, and perhaps, you know, we'll be in some communication with some of the colleagues that have been on the program in order to field test this further and to allow patients with aphasia to have an aphasia-friendly medical questionnaire and medical format, which will reduce some of the health and communication anxiety. Working with this program and in this topic, I've begun to research exactly what does health literacy mean, and there's a large literature on that, separate and apart from our field. But I am working on this to further refine it and to make it appropriate for our patients and their families. The information transmission obviously is a key point, so I've put that as a question that I'm going to be discussing in my work. And there's a few other themes here that I'm sure might resonate with some of the audience. One of the things that's come out in my work is the idea about resilience. So when you receive this information and how you're going to react to it, and how will it be related to how you can advocate in face of the ambiguity. So the quality of life, emotional scales, and adaptation will be important in terms of the resilience factor. So we know that anxiety correlates with communication effectiveness, especially in the situation of a dire medical environment. And so to me, I feel that this must be in any way possible obviated in order to ensure protection of our clients and their families and the people that we're responsible for bringing the best possible communication to. So I'm in progress of developing my field work. I've got some participation already. I have a very full bibliography around this. I do hope that we'll be able to bring health literacy information to many individuals in a user-friendly way and in a timely fashion. So I think that that might conclude my time. I'd love to communicate with anybody who'd be interested in talking about this further. I'm sure I'll be reaching out as well. So that is my talk.
Thank you so much for sharing, Linda. We appreciate having you join us for the teaching and sharing all those wonderful pieces of information. And I'm going to toss you a question because I just think it's a great one, like I said before. Out of all the information that you shared, what part of it would you want to make sure that everyone really took to heart?
Okay.
Really implement in their own like
First of all,
or
that health information must be broken down into pieces. We have some information already that, like a program, the Tactus Therapy program, has a COVID information sheet, which I have found very useful, and actually is part of the information that inspired this. So the health information in terms of the communication accuracy and being received, I think is a number one takeaway.